Okay, so this is section 2.5 continued, and on this section we're going to be converting between forms. So example number 31, this actually links in with our ratios. So there are 53 people with cancer in a recent survey of 100. So what this says first of all is 53 of 100. That's a ratio. And so that's what we have as our fraction. And we want to do this as a percentage of people with cancer. So this is a part of 100. So that just means that it's very easy to convert this to 100 to percentage, because that's 53%. This part of 100 is read as that percentage sign. So there we go. Now our next one, we have 25% as a decimal. Remember, to move from a percentage to a decimal, we're simply going to move our decimal point 2 places to the left. So 0.25 is our decimal representation in that case. And then going on to example number 33 here. We have 2/7 as a percentage. So I'm going to refresh our memory about one that we did before, 2/7 as a decimal. So when we did this, we rounded it, remember. Well, rounding isn't going to give us an exact answer. So what I'd like to do is to recall that we're going to move the decimal 2 places to the right here in order to make this a percentage. So whatever the leftover amount was, then we're going to be putting that as a decimal. So we have 7 will go into 20 14 times, or 2 times, which is 14, and we subtracted those, and that was 60. And then we said 7 will go into 68 times, and that's what gave us the 56. And then we subtracted there, and so we got the 10 minus 6, which is 4. Now that remainder, that 4, we're going to use, instead of all this, we're going to say that's remainder 4, and we're going to use that to make a fraction. So we're going to have 0.28 and then a fraction 4 out of 7. Now the only time we do this is when we're going to be changing to a percentage. A fraction with a decimal, not allowed, just remember that. And then we're going to move our decimal 2 places to the right, which means that that fraction is just going to be read as 28 4/7 percentage. And so that's what we're going to put here, 28 4/7%. Using a fraction with a percentage is really, really nice, because then we don't have that repeating, non-terminating decimal to deal with, and we don't have to round it. We get an exact value. All right, the next one here, we have a decimal as a percentage. That's taking the parts of 100 out of it, or putting it back in it, so that we're going to move the decimal 2 places to the right. So this is going to be 98.2%. Now we can also represent this 0.2 as its equivalent fraction. So we could say this is 98 2/10 is 1/5. And so that is another way that we could represent this, or. And so this is one possibility, and that's another possibility. Okay, moving on to our next problem, example number 35, which we'll see down here at the bottom. We have 5 1/3 as a decimal. The first thing we have to do is we have to change this to a decimal. So hopefully by now you know that that is a repeating, non-terminating decimal of 0.3333, so on and so forth. And then to change it to a decimal, of course, we're moving the decimal 2 places to the left. So this is going to look like 0.0533, so on and so forth. Now, example 36, 1/9 as a percentage. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to change this to a decimal, right? 9 goes into 1.000, and hopefully you remember that that gives us a 1, 1, 1, 1, so on and so forth, repeating. And so to change this to a percentage, 1, 2 places to the right, so this is 11.111, so forth and so forth, repeating. Or this part right here is a 0.111, which is 1/9, so we could represent this as 11 1/9 percentage. Now I'm going to leave the last example here for the next lecture, and this number 38 for you to work. So before you start the next lecture, I would suggest you work example number 38, pause the lecture, and then